Hey, there we go. Hey, everybody, this shirt's for sale. That's a real thing. It's a real announcement. Fat Man Vanilla, thanks for subbing. You can own this very shirt on my chest. Hi, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I feel bad. Everyone on YouTube watched this video 2 minutes later. Like when it went live, YouTube was like, okay, and now there's a 2 minute wait. I'm sorry about that, anybody who was on YouTube. They're just rolling in their comments now. Spools of Thread, Luvine W, thanks for resubbing. Yo time. Oh, I see we're like backed up. All right, I don't know if I'm gonna bother with those too much for the live Q&A. I'm gonna shrink you a little bit even. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for checking this out. Let me tell you what the live Q&A is going to be about. I'm going to show you a little behind the scenes clips that I prepared. I have a couple of props that I want to show you, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. We have two rules for the Q&A. Rule number 1, keep it about BoxPeak. Rule number 2, don't ask about future episodes, chat. So I'll just probably be pulling questions from chat. Again, not yet. I want to show you some stuff first. But let's do that. Let's do that. Cool. Yeah, I want this to be super casual. I don't want this to be too much of a show, as you're getting more of my living room than you normally get. And so yeah, let's do it. Sorry, chat. I'm just reading you right now, and YouTube. I think I got to close YouTube since the episode is done over there. Cool. Let me just say thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Okay, all right, and then I'm saying goodbye to YouTube and Twitch. You have 100% of my attention now. Okay, let's look at the video I prepped first. We'll go to this one. Obviously, yeah, look, we're casual here. We're a casual group. Boop, boop. And then let me rewind you all the way over here. So yeah, I want to show you basically some like early stuff, some stuff that happened when I was like first even like figuring out what I can shoot on my camera. It's some kind of fun stuff. Okay, BTS footage. Okay, so this is the first ever BoxPeak thing that I shot. That right there, this clip. And that's not the one in the show. That's the prototype logo. I'll show you proto logo. It's kind of funny to see this one. Yeah, right there. Clearly I used pen where I used paper in the actual one. Let me get you all there. There we go, Matt. But it's cool. Like, basically, this was pretty exciting for me. This was like, oh, this looks cool. This is like I can do this. And everything looks HD and in focus. It actually looks better than some of the stuff I ended up shooting anyway. I don't have lights turned on at all at that point. Here, chat. This is a rare look at Jordy with a skin color. This is the first ever Jordy. This was me attempting to see if flips worked. This is me seeing if like flips are a valid animation. So hold on. Flip. Yeah, so it worked. Like I was so excited. And as you can see, this is that's a beta Jordy. You know what I mean? Like a lot of extra lines. I don't really know how to draw them yet. There's the backpack has a weird strap in the middle. And then I guess I could move myself a little bit here. Yeah, I actually kind of really like that expression, but it's funny. And you can see why I didn't like having skin colors on him. It just like, it looks weird, right? The skin is like patchy and like, I don't know. It just doesn't look right. And so, yeah, I kind of made the decision after I imported this stuff that it's like, everybody's got to just have plain paper white skin, Cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, check this out. Victor originally did fire, and I think that looks cool. But it's like typical, right? It's typical to see flames behind a villain, so I didn't want to steal somebody else's thing. I tried pink, but then ultimately settled on this for that shot. And then of course we play it way faster. What it's like, so that's cool. This shot didn't make it into the opening. This is where you can see me get frustrated with a few things that I didn't conceptualize properly. Depth, like this just looks like there's a wall right there instead of a city in the background, and shadows. Oh, and check that out, Picra 5. Look at those shadows. I was so mad. I was like, what is the deal with these shadows? This is something that has plagued me for so long. I've never gotten over the shadows, really. They're still hard to deal with, but like so sharp there. This is just a clip I liked a lot because I accidentally hit this guy when I was puppeteering him. But then I was like, it looks like he's patting him on the back. And for a long time, I kept this in the episode. We were just like, okay, thanks for this thing. Bye. But I didn't keep it. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you kind of how this works. By the way, this is what episode 1 footage looks like when I bring it in. It looked this bad. And so I'm not happy with what you see in the final episode, but it is at least better than this. This is just raw imported. So like I wanted to show you, boop. So that's kind of how this stuff works. Oh, you can't, in VLC, you can't go backwards clips. But I'll just show you basically how we do these kind of shots is like, you just work up to where the animation is going to be blurry, right? So it's just like probably cut there, and then you just bring them right back, you know? And so we have the cinder block and everything. Then this was stupid. So I have on these 2 popsicle sticks and this piece of paper, I have a bunch of little shards of glass that I thought like, if I pull it away, the cinder block and the shards of glass will sprinkle all over the place. And it's just like, what? You do not see shards of glass, but you do get the cool cinder block falling, which I like. But anyway, yeah, this is like, so, right, you would cut from like there to there. See, that's kind of nice. Yes, I think that is what I ended up doing, is I really like that frame right there. And obviously you don't even get an impression of glass there, but it just... Love the bounce. I was so stoked when the cinder block bounced. The rope is tissue paper. And then this didn't make it in. This is an animation I really like a lot. Him just like, just lowering the rope. The reason I couldn't use it is that there was no smooth transition from that resting spot to that. Like the cinder block always moved, and it just never like cut together well. It sucked. Because I like really like how this looks. What? Oh, yeah, it's cool. Again, look how grody this footage looks. It's so orange and nasty. Like episode 1 was brutal for color correction. This was, I originally thought I was going to use string for the boat. It looks a little nicer, but like, look how like. You can see how frustrated I am. It wasn't smooth. You couldn't glide it over like I wanted to. Oh, and this is the prototype for the box summon animation. I hate it. I was really stoked about this part. The rising. The background, I don't love too much. And then this part sucks. It's like blah, blah, blah. And then the box just appears. I really, really like what I ended up doing. And what I ended up doing is, because of that, I was like, how do I actually make the box appear from the stuff that rises over him? And so that's why you get a glittery box that lowers, and then the box is already there, as opposed to the box like forming around it. But yeah, this is kind of intense stop motion. Basically what I did was I set a circle of quarters around Geordi. And I did this all backwards actually. And so it was basically 8 quarters. And this frame is resting on 2 quarters at a time, and so I would just rotate which quarters it's resting on. It was so annoying, but I kind of like the in focus, out of focus, the way this looks, and like how it just kind of circles around them, you know, which is the effect I wanted. But yeah, I don't love the background. I obviously love the background we got in the episode more than this. Funny thing, this droidie right here, I think, is the last one I drew for the episode, and he is basically, from this episode forward, the scale. He is basically, because that is basically the height of a box, and you can see his nose and eyes looking over it. I use that Geordi to scale adults and new people who appear based off his height. And so like when Victor shows up, I'm like comparing him to the box summon Geordi, because he's got feet and almost no other characters have feet. So that's cool. Blah, 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 blah. I kind of like I like when the box appears. There's just like a little tick to it. Not random. just that little blur, blah, blah. And you kind of get a sense of it like appearing. Cool. So that was all I got for behind the scenes Q&A stuff. Let me show you some boxes. So, boop, boop. I want to show you the first boxes. I mean, the prototype boxes were the ones that are, I should have brought those. The ones that were in the pitch video that have like rope on them. They're a little nasty. The two first boxes I made were the two that you see in the park. Did you design the logo? Oh, we'll do Q&A. We'll do Q&A later. Hold on. Sorry, Chad. It's hard to read you and do this at the same time. So the two people you see in the park, basically, I wanted that to be like the beginning of Street Fighter 2, where it's just a white guy and a black guy fighting. And you never learn anything more about them, but they kind of like reveal more about this world in a way. It like makes it bigger. We'll never learn more about those two guys at the beginning of Street Fighter 2, but we know they're there. We know they're part of this tournament. So I wanted to make those guys, basically guys like that, in Box Peak. So the way that I did these, this is funny. So this is a typical size box right here, 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, right? It's just a cube. The way that I did this is I weigh them down by a bunch of rolled up paper. I think we got autofocus on, so let me turn off the cam. Or sorry, the light. Ooh, this shirt is looking good, Chad. Look at that thing. Ooh. Oh, I'm so pumped on this. You can maybe I should do a little talk about that too. So basically he's weighted down by paper, so like if you just lift it up by this, it'll just plop back down every time. And so I kind of like that. But the problem is these guys are too small, right? Like he's got too much space in that box. And I thought it'd be funnier if we cramp it up. And so really, basically the entire scale of Box Peak starts with these 2.5 inches. So like I wanted to create a circle, a head that cramps into a box better, which is funny enough. So this is Victor. Yes. So Victor, I still have a string for Victor, which is nice. Victor is like, he ends there, right? He's just got a quarter on the bottom to really weigh him down so that I could just let go, basically like that. Because I had to do him and Jordy at the same time. And so it was really hard. And so, yeah, I ended up finding like the perfect weight of quarters to weigh them down with. And as you can see, it says Ross on the front. I didn't, here's the thing. Here's the dumbest thing is I knew that people watching episode 1 would see the opening, the intro before anything. And so that is why in the entire opening, you don't see names on the fronts of the boxes, because I wanted to save the weird thing where you learn defective A, like you would see the word defective before you hear the word defective A. And so that's why all the boxes are blank in the opening. And so, yeah, I think that's all I had to show for you. So let's do a Q&A. Let's do it. Boop. Let me close that. And then I can do like this in the background. Let me mute it. Oh, it's already muted. Perfect. Okay, cool. So we can start taking questions from you. Oh, turn that light back on. Don't need these on. There was no audio that entire time. I did not ever need those on. How many puppets have you made? A fantastic question from Green again. I have no idea. So what I do is there's 2 shoe boxes at the end of an episode. Once I finish producing an episode, I have 2 shoe boxes. One for characters, expressions, emotions that might get used again, and some for emotions and expressions that will never get used again. For instance, at the celebration, what do we do? The 3-year animation, celebration for Easy Allies. I gave away a few Geordies. I gave away like the one who's like looking at the box porter, because I'm never going to need that again, right? Like, this is for Box Peak. Like, he's never going to have that excitement with his box porter off again. I knew that like that's not a keeper, but that one's not a keeper. Some of them are keepers, obviously. Like Jordy just smiling is obviously a keeper, and so I feel like number of puppets has to be like 250. It's normally like 40 to 60 per episode. So I think we are at least over 250 total between all episodes, all five. Okay, sorry. You were asking a lot of questions and I spent too much time on that. Besides Amanda, how did you decide on who plays which character? Okay. Yeah, that's fun because obviously Amanda came first and then we did everything around that, right? I tried to, you'll see it by the time we're done with 10 episodes. I tried to disperse everyone pretty evenly, give everyone like a meaty role and like lots of little roles and things like that, and try to implement them best. I think Huber plays that dock worker well. I think he's that kind of guy. I think pretty early on, after Amanda said yes, I'll do it, I knew that I was going to be the person who explains the rules. Probably would have been regardless. Just knowing that CD fills that role of a lot of things, you know what I mean? Like narratively, but also like just structurally for you. If you're making a show about a game, you need someone to explain the rules, not just to the characters, but to the audience, to you. And I knew that was going to be me. And so, you want that guy on the sidelines who's like freaking out like during matches. And I think it's even like clear in the opening where you see CD like go like this. It's clear he's not in the match, he's celebrating the match. And so we needed that kind of character. So yeah, I was in for that. I knew that was going to be me. And then really just kind of based off personality, kind of based off of like dialogue and things like that, just kind of plotted everyone else in all 10 episodes, and then we just went. The Easy Allies know a lot about what happens in Box Peak. Is the zoo parent deaths a reference to Fiasco Knots at the zoo? Not intentionally. Here's the thing. I forget about most Fiasco Knots. Most of them I do not remember, like from when I leave Jones's that night. I do not remember what happened in a Fiasco Knots. So like if we're working on the wiki, like it's not an intentional reference. What's the deal with Fangamer? Cool. Yeah, let's talk about this shirt. So I can go back to Cam actually. I have a friend at Fangamer, Noah, who like we were roommates for a semester out here in LA, and then we're like best LA buds. He now works in Fangamer, which is in Arizona, so we're not best LA buds anymore. But obviously, like he's how we got the first two shirts on Easy Allies. But I'm talking about Box Peak a lot, and he's like, "Dude, we should do a shirt. We should do a shirt of the. Is it a dragon?" I'm like, "No, it's a dino." He's like, "Okay, we should do a shirt of that." And I said, like, that is my dream. I would love to do that. And so Noah was way down. We worked on it a bunch. Basically, I sent a sketch, and then one of Fangamer's artists. I like, there's like a little kind of like sketchy element to it that I like a lot, And then is it available to buy? Yeah, fangamer.com/easyallies. And so I also worked on a sticker that comes with this. This comes with a bonus sticker. I can't show it to you yet. The sticker will not make sense until after episode 3. Problem is, if you order this today, you're getting that sticker. You're going to wrap this open before episode 3, and you're going to be like, what the heck? Let me just promise you, it's nothing huge. It's not a huge spoiler. It's just what Noah said is like for the sticker. He said, like, I think it'd be cool to have a sticker that would exist within the world of Box Peak. And I'm like, yeah, that would be cool. Like something that Jordy or CD could actually put on their backpacks or whatever, you know what I mean? And so I sent 4 designs in. And again, like the way Fangamer works is they just have like insane artists who just work there. And different artist from this one. She looked at the 4 and she was like, "Oh, I'm obviously doing this one. It's sick. I love it so much." And the way that I love that sticker so much, it might become more prevalent in the back 5 episodes. We'll see. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, you get the shirt sticker. The women's sizes are a different shade of blue. They're like a bluer blue because this color was not available in women's sizes. Contact your senators. Are there any songs outside of the main theme made for the show, or is it going to be mostly online stuff? It will be mostly all online stuff. All from the 2 that are in the end of the credits, Artlist.io and Epidemic. Yeah, what's funny is the colored pencil I use for Jordy's shirt is turquoise. Obviously, like sometimes it's darker and lighter, just depending on how hard I press the colored pencil. But yeah, I like that color of it. Will Jordy and CD ever sing a duet? No. What is your inspiration for the setting design? The world looks really cool and unique. So what was the thought process behind making it? That's from Dark Blade Overlord 99. Good question. So I assume you're just talking about the wide shot of Certainly City that's coming up when he's just like, "Whoa, Certainly City," and I think that was, frankly, from me. So like, you look at the crates and the brown color of the boat. Fairboat Island is boring. You can kind of hear the captain say mattresses and dog balls. That's what he's like shipping in. Fairboat Island is meant to be bland and suck. Like their flag is like, like puke green, and so when he looks up, I want that to be in contrast to that. And the colors came from me just like looking at this box of colored pencils that, here we go. That's got like too many colors. It's got, like 150, too many colors. And so I just started pulling the weirdest colors. That's why this dock worker has got like green and purple. It's meant to be like everybody in Certainly City has cool colors. They all really like colors, just to make some weird contrast from like how boring it is at Fairboat Island. The cities design themselves, I kind of was just going off. I was kind of just drawing lines. It's yeah, I don't know. It's no direct reference. Oh, and I just honestly, I hate this. I hate this background so much. I was doing like crooked lines and bad colors because I assumed it wouldn't be in focus, but also the paper is like slightly brown, and you can tell, right? And so look forward to backgrounds not looking like this in future episodes. What have you learned from episodes you've already finished? We can't talk about future episodes. That's rule number 2. Don't ask about future episodes, but we can talk about what I learned from this one, which that was in there. Another huge mistake I made with this episode is I was puppeteering the characters based off of memory. Didn't even have the script out for a lot of this, and didn't even listen to the recording for a lot of this. And that's why you see things where I'm clearly just using a shot that looks kind of like they're saying that. I'm embarrassed about a lot of this episode, and probably the thing besides the look of it, maybe even more so. Yeah, honestly, I'm more embarrassed about the puppeteering in this. That was like, I got a lot better at that. Basically going forward, I do the audio edit first, and then I play it on my phone. So I know exactly how people are saying things, and even like when they're like coughing and making pauses, they're captured in the puppets. And I think that stuff is so important. How many pencils have you gone through? I have one Box Peak pencil, and I've tried other ones. They don't erase as well. A really important thing is that, I draw the people first and then pen over and then erase over the pen. And I mean, you can see some pencil lines on all these faces, but my Staples pencil is the best pencil for erasure. The new pencils I got, which are like art pencils, they don't erase all the way, and it's just pointless. Oh, who did that theme song remix? That is Phantom Man K himself. Yeah, we can play that again. Well, you know what? We'll play it again next week. That'll be the official hype song for a Box Peak premiere. Do you multitask when doing character setting designs? Oh, you're going so fast, chat. If so, what do you usually have playing in the background? Oh, yeah, big time. So my favorite days are coloring days. Requires the least amount of focus on what I'm like doing down here creatively. When I'm shooting stuff and I'm like, I have to play people, it's a lot harder. And then editing, of course, requires 100% focus. So yeah, lots of stuff, lots of like Hulu. Like sometimes I just want a dumb show on that I won't focus on. Podcasts, sometimes I'll just want to watch like news. I'll put the news on a lot, honestly, just like things that are happening right now. Helps you feel like you're not wasting time. So if you have like news or sports on, it feels like the world is continuing despite you being there for hours. And so that stuff helps a lot, to be honest with you. Shooting's exciting. Shooting is exciting, yes, incredibly stressful. It is the most stressful part of Box Peak because things just fall apart. Things don't look how you expect them to. I always overestimate myself. I always think like, oh, I'll figure it out when I'm shooting, and then when it's time to shoot, it's like, what am I doing? And so it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of disappointment, accepting my own disappointment, things like that. Kyle, this episode is patched with a new title card, and I noticed PeakRef sound effects that was new. Anything else in the episode we might have missed? Not too much. Timing of dialogue is I snapped some stuff closer together where I was like, talk faster. There's a lot of sound effects. There's footsteps on the dock. There's not footsteps in the city. I kind of like I like to put footsteps in when you would notice them in real life. I think when you're walking with your friends, you don't listen, you don't hear their footsteps, right? It's just one of those things your brain filters out. But like when the dock worker is rolling up to Jordy, you hear it, and then when Jordy is scampering away, you like. I think that's kind of comedic in that way. The PeakRef has he's got like a jetpack noise. And in a rival noise. The character at the end looked touch up. No, I don't think I touched colors or anything. I don't think I touched. Oh, I did put I at least put some compression on the audio. I do think it sounds a little better than the one that was previously uploaded to YouTube. This is, I think, almost the exact same shot that was in the original preview. So cool. I like his hand, like cutting out his hand and having it rest on the side. Origins of Box Peak. Box Peak is entirely hey look, the entire seed of Box Peak is budget, is the fact that we don't have a camera crew at Easy Allies, where like we can't set up a studio, we can't set up lights and audio the way I want to. You know what I mean? A lot of Easy Allies stuff, we're just like wearing lav mics on the outsides of our shirts. Ben is in the credits. I think Ben's there. Actually, I think Ben's in the credits. Is he not? I can check. And so like really like I obviously I would want to do, first I was thinking like a live action thing, and then it's just like, but I'm gonna have to make so many compromises. It won't be what I want to be. And so let's go small budget. What is the smallest budget show I can make? I wanted to do an animated series too, but I just like kind of based off the stuff I used to do at like the end of Final Bossman and stuff. But again, that looked like I was inhibiting myself. It looked like something where if I had more money, it would look better, right? So Box Peak is a show where more money would not help it. Box Peak is a show that lives through its budget, And so I knew I wanted to do like paper puppets because of a weird inspiration I got from a thing that I used to do in kindergarten, which was I would cut out characters, glue them, tape them to popsicle sticks, and then like I would ask my teacher to make the whole class watch me. And I put that in the pitch video. I didn't share this story before. I did a Simpsons one. I made all of The Simpsons, and then I made, like, if you flipped it over, there was superhero versions of The Simpsons. So, like, there was, Super Bart or Bartman, but also, like, a superhero version of Marge and Homer. Um, and so I don't think I even, like, watched The Simpsons. I don't know where the stuff got into me. Um, my friend, I won't share her name. I said, like, you be Marge and, like, one other character. Let's do this. And she's like, okay. She was so excited that I was, like, involving her with one of my weird puppet shows. um I did the whole thing. I did the whole show, and at the end I was like, hey, what happened? You didn't show up. She never spoke a single line, and she was like, you didn't tell me when to go. And so the fact that I remember that implies that I would just go up and improvise a dumb, stupid Simpsons superhero play that all the other students had to watch, and my poor friend had no idea what was happening the whole time. It feels so bad. She was crying. Oh, man. I wish I had those too. The only one I have left is that weird Mickey Mouse. Um, so yeah, that is basically, there's some sort of legacy of me and these weird cutout paper puppets taped to popsicle sticks. All of them are. All these guys are. This is popsicle sticks right here. Cool. Let me get another question. Will we be seeing more of PeakRef 12? Don't forget about rule number 2. Don't ask about future episodes. How'd you create the rules of Box Peak? Cool. So, I knew it wanted to be low budget, right? And I knew that, oh man, I wanted to show concept art and conceptual stuff with you, but I can't because they're riddled with spoilers. But I will say that Box Peak was like my second or third idea. In terms of, like, I wanted it to be like a competition, like anime shonen, right, chat is the right word to use. And so I was like, what kind of competition can people have? And so I was thinking, like, they could have like weird paper boxes that they shoot at each other's heads. And then I was like, oh, what if they hide in boxes? And then it was like, boom, that's the idea. It was so funny to me to think of, like, and so the rules came from necessity, basically. It's like, how do you add drama around that? The idea, so basically, and the rules take forever, really. The idea of somebody peeking and there being suspense of the person's peeking. And so that's why you have to peek for at least 4 seconds, right? So there's drama of being there. And the drama of being there, the suspense, is that someone might peek up back at you, right? And so those 2 rules kind of go hand in hand in creating drama out of it. The other 3 rules are basically there to make it a sport because I was thinking, like, Box Peak would be easy to game if you just go like this, huh? Because if you did that, basically you would, hey, we're looking at the rules right now. Basically, if you did that, that'd be the perfect strategy. You would be much more likely to attack somebody, and so there would really be, you would never want to stare at anybody for 4 seconds because someone could just go, huh? So that's why you have to stare for at least 2 seconds. You got to be out there, be vulnerable for at least 2 seconds. And then that is also why there's, like, basically the cooldown of 6 seconds, is that you couldn't go, huh? Huh? Again, because that would game the system. And so if you're down for 6 seconds, I think that you're vulnerable enough that on the opposite side of those 6 seconds, somebody could sneak in 4 seconds pretty easily. And then obviously you could put anything in your box that fits in your box, is there so we can go nuts, is there so we can escalate the weirdness of these matches. If it was simply for 10 episodes, I knew that it wouldn't work. A really fun thing that maybe we'll show at the end of episode 10 is, right when I had the idea, this is like one of the first things I wrote down, even before the characters or anything, is 10 ideas for episodes of how the Box Peak matches would go. Because I knew it had to have legs, you know what I mean? I knew I had to have an interesting match in the episodes. Did you test the game rules in real life? No. Box Peak is dependent upon a PeakRef. Basically, there's, like, no way to do it without this other person on the outside who is keeping track of the seconds and things like that. Um, and so I don't think this game is possible in real life. I don't think you can do it in real life. I don't think it'd be fun in real life. So to answer which Tuesday we'll have the Easy Allies Box Peak tournament, never, never. It's not meant to be a fun game to play. You know what I mean? I think like it's meant, the absurdity is that everyone loves this game so much that it's the most popular game in the world. It's meant to be, silly. What inspired the comedy of Box Peak? That's a good question, because it's not like, to me, it's not satire. Like, to me, it's funny when they just get serious with each other. It's funny when Jordy says, I didn't get the rules. It's funny when the Peak ref says, cease this. And so to me, that the humor there is like characters being characters. Characters having a perspective and like being honest. Honesty is like one of the funniest things in the world to me, comedically. And so like, I don't know, I think that's why people respond to this, which is like, this is almost satire, right? Because the dramatic music is playing. And he says, my parents died at the zoo. You know what I mean? Like, it's meant to be extremely dramatic, like a really sharp turn, a little 90-degree turn right there. But at the same time, like, probably because of Amanda's VO, there's a weight to it. When Amanda says, Jordy says, I'll be your Box Peak friend, like it hits my heart. It's like, I think it's too good of a delivery of the line. And so, yeah, I think that the sincerity sometimes can be extremely funny. What are people in the world's interests outside of Box Peak? Don't ask about future episodes. What camera do you use? I use a Sony A7, which is not great. The biggest problem with it is capturing in low light. So Ian has the newest Sony A7. I forget what it's called. A7S maybe. What t-shirt am I wearing? Medium. This is a medium. It's a really nice medium, honestly. I dig this. I haven't washed it yet. This is like straight out of the package. We can go back to this one. That's a medium. A7 III-R. Yeah, that is what Ian has. And so Ian's would be a lot better at capturing in low light. And you can see where a lot of you'll see it more and more. You see a lot where it suffers because it can't capture in low light. Remember when I showed you like the footage of how gross the boat looked? If I had a nicer Sony A7, Box Peak would look nicer, but had a budget, and that was not part of the $2,000 budget for Box Peak. That was just something I wanted to buy. And so I bought myself a pretty medium tier camera. And so that's what I got. Sony A7. It does a job. Like, what I wanted the most is close-ups on characters. And the fact that the end scene works where, Jordy and CD are having an intimate scene where they're close to each other. Perfect. That is what I wanted more than anything. And so if the backgrounds go out of focus, this looks bad, but if I have those things, I have what I wanted. And so that's why I got the A7. Depth of field is narrow. That is because I didn't know what f-stop was during all of episode 1. And so you'll see an improvement upon that in future episodes as well. Basically, this entire episode has the same f-stop setting. So it gets better. Was it difficult scheduling allies for voiceover work? Yes. Fortunately, Box Peak production took way too long. And so it was probably like a month and a half to get all of the 9 of us to do our voices, 10 plus Amanda. It took us so long. It took a long time. And sessions were long, you know what I mean? A lot of us, myself included, are not regular voice actors, and so it's like a process. It's like working it out. Another fun piece of trivia, when I recorded CD, I did episodes 2 through 9 first, because I knew I would be developing the voice and the character. And then I did episode 1, and then I did episode 10, because obviously 1 and 10 are the most important episodes. And so like episode 2 is actually the first lines I recorded as CD, and then episode 1 is some of the last ones. Like some of these lines I'm like, Kyle, that's pretty good. Like, sure, if you can challenge me too when you're ready. Like, that's pretty good, but there's some good stuff in there too. How long did it take you to figure out the arc for Geordi? Oh, yeah, I mean, we'll just talk again. We're just talking about episode 1. I really like, again, I was planning on the opening coming before the actual episode started. And so, like, there's information in the opening, I think, that's like, you get it. When you see Geordi on a boat, when the actual episode begins, where, you know, it says, like, certainly city, let's go island. You get that because you saw him with the backpack looking back at home and then looking forward, and then he like tucks in it again and goes forward, and then you see that shot of him on the boat. No second thoughts when opportunity knocks. Like, I think that I even wrote that line knowing that I had to put some information into the opening. So I think that works. I think you get it. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing, is that you need to like get a character in seconds. And I think you get that Geordi escaped his home, boring island, to go see what Box Peak is all about, because it's outlawed where he lives. And that's like, it's such an essential story thing. Basically, you need someone to be explaining everything about this game to the character of the audience again, but like, it doesn't make sense for a character who already lived in a world where Box Peak is very popular. Like, who are you explaining it to? And so that is 100% why Fairboat Island even exists, narratively, is just so that there would conceivably be a person who doesn't know what Box Peak is. And yeah, obviously you see that in a lot of anime, just like the new kid, you know, we all find ways to do it, but that's what I did with Geordi, and I think that works. I think you get it. What anime, if any, were key inspirations for Box Peak? I think tonally, Pokemon, big time. Pokemon always shouts its episode titles, and like, that's what we do here. You know, Geordi gets a box. You know, I like Sorry, that's a. It doesn't match. It's just me shaking a peak ref. Sorry, I forgot your question. Oh, inspirations, definitely Pokemon. Definitely like the thing. I haven't watched a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, but every time I watch it, I'm fascinated by like trap cards. I'm fascinated by the way they trick people. I like JoJo. I love a JoJo match where it's just about tricking the other person. And obviously in episode 1, Geordi just kind of wins incidentally, but like that's what I just dig that in anime so much, that moment. And you know, Box Peak is still a comedy, right? And so most of the things aren't like, oh, that was so cool, you know what I mean? Most of it's like, oh, that's a silly joke. But yeah, Metabots, yeah, Metabots is fun. Because what, in the world of Metabots, basically every kid gets one, but that kid doesn't have one yet. And yeah, the biggest difference between that and like Pokemon and, I don't know, Monster Ranch or whatever, is that, you know, the boxes don't talk. Believe me, I thought about it, but no, the boxes do not talk. They're not characters, they're just boxes. Beyblade, yeah, all that stuff. There are 12 shows that are just like Box Peak. No talking boxes. Let me promise you now. Did you write the episodes in order, or did you have one large story in mind that you divided into parts? Good question. That's from Otos Vini. Definitely wrote it in order, but planned it way ahead of time. Planned it with the outline. As I just said, like, I'd planned out 10 potential episodes of like possible Box Peak matches that could happen. And then basically, you know what the purpose of each episode is, and then you write them out. But the writing process took months. It took so long. Good drafts, bad drafts. A lot of it never changed. A lot of it changed dramatically. We can't share any of that yet. Maybe way later. Maybe after in the episode 10 Q&A. But yeah, the scripts are nuts. I do want to publish the scripts for you when they're finally done. What are some non-anime references you looked at? In terms of like writing and music and shooting, not a lot of references here. A lot of it's just like, you work off your instincts. You work off of everything you've already seen before, right? But I would say with backgrounds, I use references a lot when I'm just like, how does perspective work when you're trying to make a dock? That was the hardest thing. I think that was even harder than the city, is that opening shot of the dock. It's like, how do you even draw a dock? And so I looked at like lots of docks. I was like Googling docks and seeing what docks look like here, docks look like there. So hard. It's so hard to draw a dock. And so I found those kinds of things that are like these pillars, these kind of pillars that stick up over the docks or beside the docks that have a crane over them. And so a lot of that's kind of close to real life, but obviously you get to play around with that in a fantasy world. And so none of it's entirely accurate, but yeah, I kind of like how the docks look at the beginning. Mega Man Legends reference for the shop. What shop? What are you talking about? I'm going to say no. There are no Mega Man references. Mega Man Legends references. Is the Friday creative stream still on once Box Peak development is done? Oh, looks like somebody forgot rule number 1. Keep it about Box Peak. Are there any plans to legitimately release a DVD Blu-ray? I'm a sucker for physical editions of things. TMGM. I don't think we can do a Blu-ray because the way this works is the licenses for the music that we have right now is limited to YouTube, and that's why it is cheap for us to use something like Epidemic. If we release it on Blu-ray, that's a whole different licensing thing. It would probably be very expensive. We'd have to figure out how to relicense all of the music. And so I don't think a Blu-ray can happen. I think you just got to rip them all off of YouTube or something. I cannot suggest that, but bootleg it, Chad. I don't know. You can't bootleg it, obviously, but yeah, the music's a big part of BoxPeak, obviously, and yeah, we just have a YouTube license for them, and so that's the deal. What was the most difficult part of production from a technical standpoint? Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Obviously, it's my first time like using a camera like that. Remember I just said I didn't know what f-stop was? Like pulling things into focus and like keeping them there was really hard. That stupid shot right there, it probably took like half a day. Just having Jordy go down a rope and then have like a string that's feeding him down the rope. That shot took so long. So many things. I made a lot of mistakes, obviously, so it was fun to learn throughout all this. It's frustrating. I swear a lot. I knock things over a lot by accident, and then I just swear more. It's crazy. It is fun. It's super challenging, but production is definitely the hardest, most time-consuming part of BoxPeak. Like drawing the characters, it's fine. Coloring them, penning them, got it. Cutting them out, sure. Editing, I got this. But like production is so intense. What are a few things I've learned about myself throughout this process? I have a filthy mouth. Did I lose any work? Yeah. Oh, do you mean like footage wise? No. Occasionally, like I'd pull in a shot. I guess that's kind of talking about future episodes. Occasionally, I will pull on a shot, and I'm just like, this isn't working. We got to do reshoots. But no, I've had pretty good luck in terms of like nothing getting deleted off of a hard drive or a hard drive crashing or anything. So yeah, I haven't really lost too much. There is not a lot of like abandoned BoxPeak footage, and if there is, I'll show it to you like I did today with the spinning box. How do you go about what kinds of shots to use, close up, low angle, etc., while writing? And Hedron, that's a cool question because I get to do it all. I get to write and shoot and edit, and so you don't really get that opportunity a lot. It turns out that when I was writing, I very infrequently actually was having the Kyle of the future in mind while producing stuff, and because even when like maybe I can show you the beginning of the script. Basically, the first 4 seconds of the episode where the boat pulls in, you see Geordi look at these two pillars, you see the boat docked and you hear the horn, you see Geordi take a cinder block and like break a window and then scale down a rope and then like blub, blub, blub. Whoa, that's one line in the script that just says Geordi scales down a boat. It's one stupid line. And so like I looked at that line and I'm like, wait, how do I communicate any of this? How do I do this? And so a lot of that conceptualization happens when I'm drawing, as opposed to shooting. And so like you can visualize it, but I didn't do it while I was writing. I wait usually to visualize things until I'm doing the drawing. And usually when I'm drawing, I'm figuring it out shot for shot. And in terms of like close-ups and wides, basically the thing I do is what you do in TV. You do an entire scene in the close-up like that. You do an entire scene of the reverse close-up of the other character talking, and then you do an entire scene of the medium shot. And so when you're editing, you're like, okay, I like this one here, I like this one. You get a lot of flexibility in what you use. How deliberate is the coloring? You said it's the most mindless task, but do you make decisions about thickness, pressure, direction of the pen strokes? Oh, no. As you can see, the coloring's sloppy. Look, I mean, Victor has a lot of overlap. You know what I mean? I'm not a good colorer. The pen strokes, sometimes like you'll get blotches, you'll get like accidental lines, and I cannot control Z them. And so that's something I missed terribly. You can kind of see it in this eyebrow on Victor. One of the hardest things is like blotches, when a bunch of ink pools together and like a streak happens or a blotch happens. It happens a lot. But I would say like a lot of Box Peak is, oh, I made a mistake, I gotta keep going. You know what I mean? You can't throw away a drawing because of a blotch or something like that. In your announcement video, you showed the puppets you made when you were young that inspired the project. Did you do a lot of drawing when you were young that inspired the art of Box Peak, like Certainty City, etc.? So it's weird. I looked at a lot of my old art. I don't know when the dots became a thing. I think it was like at some point in high school and college, like doing eyes just as dots made sense to me for drawing characters. But then especially during like Final Bossman, I think I almost 100% committed to just the style of little black dots for eyes. They're also for function. You can infer which way the characters are looking because their eyes are just dots. If they were full-on anime eyes, it's like, why, Geordi, why are you looking over there? Why are you looking over there? And we're using the same shot for the close-up as we do for the wide. It's the exact same perspective on them, like that right there. And so the eyes need to be dots. You kind of feel like those two characters are looking at each other, even though they're looking more toward us than anybody. And that's just because the eyes are dots. Yeah, but I would draw all the time, chat. I think, like you can kind of see like the little like along the top of that building, you see tiny little lines like that. I mean, like that's a weird style thing I love. Basically, I've done more drawing with pen than anything in my life because it's doodling. I'm a doodler, right? More than I am an artist. And so I think, yeah, hey, we can define the art of Box Peak as like doodles. I don't think it's good art, but I think it's doodles. This looks like a doodle to me. And so, yeah, hey, I think we just defined it. Thanks for the question. My pen, let me pull that out. I use the exact same pen for everything. Bic Soft Feel Medium. One of these guys right here. That is the pen that I use for Box Peak. I've tried other pens. I just feel confident with this pen. I have a good control over it. Obviously not great control. Look at his eyes. But I just feel like it's not as permanent as other things, you know what I mean? I can make little mistakes. I tried like thicker pens, and it just like I don't have that control. Everything is, it feels like out of hand. It just all feels so thick and permanent and scary. And so yeah, I like a nice thin pen like this. You got to be able to click, because I got to click. And yeah, I think you can. There is some shading you can do in a way. You can do light lines with a big pen like this, but I try not to, because I kind of like the look of the hard lines and then soft colored pencils. Did you use any other materials outside of paper, like glitter or fabric? Yeah, I use string a lot. We use these rods a lot. Yeah, I mean, like that, I use some weird, like that Box Peak background that was like golden. I'll use some weird papers that they sell at Michael's. Generally, and you could see the popsicle sticks on those guys. Generally, when possible, I try to use paper. And if I can't use paper, I try to just use something you could buy at Michael's. I don't want it, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of kills me that when CD is reading off the rules, it's like on screen graphics. It would be too annoying to write out each of these words, especially like here, certainly city, let's go island. When possible, I want everything to exist within the actual frame. And so, yeah, you know, glitter I did not use in this episode, definitely not. What was your other question? But yeah, there's a bunch of materials here. Again, this one's tracing paper. The rope is made of tracing paper. Like, we could have used rope, but I think it's so fun to make that paper too. But you can see the string right there. It's cool stuff. Any advice for anyone that's looking to create a world story that's not only consistent, but engaging? Yes. Yeah, let's do it. That's a good question. And we'll have to end soon. We'll do 2 more questions after that. Because this was supposed to be a half hour long, and we went way over. It was fun though. You have good questions. Creating a consistent and engaging world. Yeah. So Box Peak's world is comedic, right? I just wanted to explore the idea of a Beyblade or Yu-Gi-Oh, where everyone loves a stupid sport, or game. Everyone loves a stupid game. But what's fun about that to me is that everyone's not crazy, right? It's not like a bunch of crazy people who are shallow. It is really considering how and why everyone in this world only loves this thing. How it's possible for everyone in this world to just love this thing. Like how everyone in the world of Pokemon loves Pokemon. And it's like, why don't you love other things, you know? And so really, when you want to create a world that feels real, it starts with people, I think. I think it starts with the people inside of it treating it real, you know? You can't make them flat. You can't make a single person flat, because they can't be there just for jokes. You know what I mean? They have to be there to help your story along. That's the other thing, is when you're creating a world, you still got to worry about your story. You can have a great world and your story can suck if there's like nothing fun to do in it. And so I think your world has to facilitate the story you want to tell. Whether it's just like one character on an adventure, right? Going through the hero's journey. The world still needs to facilitate it. It needs to be unique to that character. That character needs to be in this particular world more than any other world. Make it engaging. And the way to make things engaging, the way to make characters engaging is contradictions. And I realize I don't have a lot of that going on in this episode. The way to make a character engaging is to give viewers an archetype, a character that they expect, and then have a contradiction to what we expect from that character. And I guess you kind of see that in Jordy and CD. And Victor too, honestly, when he's just like, I think when you get to hear him inside the box, you get to hear the tough guy. But I don't know, just when he's like, is a cranberry soda in here? He's just, to me, when he says, is there a cranberry soda in here? That's when he becomes a human, you know? And then obviously at the end, he's talking to his wife and he says, your parents don't know I still play Box Peak? Like, to me, that's like such a real moment. So this man exists in this world where, like, yeah, everybody loves Box Peak, but it's like, it's still for kids, man. So she's like ashamed to like say that to her parents that her husband plays Box Peak right now. Like, that hits me, you know? And so things like that. If this then what works for comedy, but it works for everything. To me, when somebody says somebody is witty, it is simply because they're good of, if this is true, then what else is true. And so when you're creating your world, like let's say it's a world where everybody has dragons for feet, right? If that is true, then what else is true? And then you just go nuts. You just plan it all out. And so a really long story to answer your question is that, yeah, just think about if this is true, then what else is true? If this, then what? That is the easiest way to make a world. Does cranberry soda exist? No, I try to make something like slightly different than what we have in our own world. You see that a lot. You will see that a lot. It's just like, it's kind of based on our world, but I still like the idea, like Yu-Gi-Oh, like Pokemon, like Beyblade, that it's like, it's not Earth, right? It's not quite the planet that we live on, but it shares a lot of common elements. Oh, two more. How many Box Peak cosplays have you seen thus far? One extremely good one. Crew wore Box Peak cosplay to Dragon Con. I retweeted that. It's pretty cool. Have you showed this to your friends and family and close friends? What was their reaction? My family loves it. Little kids in my family love it. I think the adults aren't as into it. Like, I think to them right now, it's like, oh, Kyle made a cartoon for kids. That's cool. It's like, yeah, all right, yeah, thank you. You know, my mom loves it, of course. What was really cool was some of my old UCB writer buddies finding out that they liked it and they didn't tell me about it. Like having lunch with one of them, and he's like, "Hey, man, I was talking to one of the other guys. Like, we love Box Peak." It's like, why didn't he tell me he loves Box Peak? He's like, I don't know. I figured he already did. And then like another one's just like, dude, I really like Box Peak. And so that's cool. It's cool to know that, you know, even my UCB Hollywood writer friends can appreciate, you know, what is in there, because it looks grody. You know what I mean? I think it is a hard thing to get anybody to watch for 8.5 minutes. But it's fun when, you know, people can like the writing, because it's on the surface like so basic, right? Just like I was saying, it's like I can't expect UCB writing buddies to watch an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'm glad that they did. Were you ever scared making this? How do you overcome your doubts when putting on something so important to you? Yeah, at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of 2018, I was deeply considering bailing on Box Peak. I was deeply considering, like, maybe I don't make it out of paper. Maybe I just make it just flat drawings that look like an animatic. Maybe I just put out the scripts and a sincere apology. Absolutely, that happened. How do you overcome them? It was just doing it. And antidepressant pills. But it was just sitting down and doing it. And obviously I hate so much of it. I like, so much of it is disappointing to me. But it's just like, if you just make it, it's like, it's fine. You got to accept that, like, you're learning from everything. And that's why, like, I've shifted big time on my perspective of this. I think this upload of Box Peak episode 1 will have fewer than 30,000 views. And like, that used to be crushing to me. That used to be a really disappointing thing to me. It's not what I'm looking for out of Box Peak anymore. And I realized this through a conversation with Damiani, surprisingly, who also has a lot of interesting views on YouTube views. Is that, like, the worth is not the clicks, and especially with a project like this, the worth was being able to, from beginning to end, produce an entire thing by myself. I don't know if I'll ever be like able to get to do a thing like that, you know, again, you know, it's just like, if you're a writer, as your profession, you don't get to direct an episode. Sometimes you get to direct. You don't get to direct every episode. You don't get to draw every character. You don't get to direct the voices. You don't get to do the voice acting. It's very little in life that you get to control every aspect of a show. And so that's really what Box Peak is about. And so, yeah, I mean, I have doubts every single day about it, but like, it happens. It still happens. Some days it doesn't, but some days it like I'm just totally clicking on it and feels good. Feels good. Ms. Racy says you have learned a ton in the process. What amazing. I'm sorry, Ms. Racy. I just remembered that your question I did a quick answer to and then moved on quickly. And so, yeah, I guess we did eventually answer your question about what I've learned through the process. Cool. That's going to be it. That's it for this Q&A. Don't worry. The next one is just a few short days away. We're doing one Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'll tell you, when I made the trailer, I had to look up how TV shows list their time of day, because originally, like, it was just too much information. It was like, normally we do Pacific and Eastern, PST, EST. It's just too many letters. And so it turns out TV most of the time just says like 1 p.m., 12 p.m. Central. That's what they do. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're streaming Scooby-Doo tonight too. Obviously I'm less excited for that than Box Peak episode 2. I'm so excited for you to see episode 2, to see basically how the show's improved. I mean, this was an old episode. This is almost identical to what you've already seen. And so I'm really, really excited for you all to see where we're going with Box Peak. Episode 2 is really cool. Episode 3 is really, really cool. Like, it's going to be so fun being able to do these Q&As with you. Thank you for being an attentive audience. I like all your questions. Obviously, we can't get to all of them. We went for an hour. I'd like to go for more. It'd be fun. Oop, I broke rule 2. Yeah, shouldn't even talk about episode 3 at this point. Yeah, episode 2, next Monday. It's going to be extremely fun. And then I kind of like... The presentational stuff you'll have to give me some feedback on. I kind of put that together last night, and it'll probably be something similar. But yeah, I like to start out the Q&As with some presentational aspect of behind the scenes stuff and things like that. And so maybe I can bring up some props and stuff like that too. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Hope to see you again tonight or Monday or eventually. Thanks for tuning in. I think this was a cool experiment. I want to try to get us all, you know what I mean? Like Huber did Huber syndrome, and then on the weekends we do talking syndrome. This is a valuable interaction with an audience. This is cool for me. I hope it's cool for you. But this is good stuff. This is chat. I don't know if you realize you are interacting with the future right now. This is some future stuff right here. Okay, I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to wave goodbye, and then we'll have a robot party. Do remember to check out easyallies.com to see all of our upcoming schedule in your time zone. And do remember to check out patreon.com/easyallies if you would like to support the Easy Allies. Cool. All right, muting myself.